Thursday insert for Friday air. This is segment 1.
Well, we visited the science department, we've visited the fine arts department, we've been out with the livestock and the poultry, but this is where it really happens at a fair, the Magic Midway. Over 70 rides are here and all kinds of different attractions, like the lovely lady that turns into a skeleton, like the man who absolutely eats fire. Would you believe that, our old friend Jose? I've heard of hot dogs, but he's going to have a hot dung. Hang in there, Jose. Hey, that isn't all. If you like cotton candy, they have the best.
How about an apple?
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. Thank you. Oh, wow. The wall of death. And that's only on the outside. You should be inside where it really is happening. I don't know whether I could do that or not. I'm going to tell you, that takes nerve. And of course, they have all kinds of rides going. Here's one that's going to be happening right now. It's called the Flying Bob. Hey, you know what? I think I'll get aboard this one and see what happens. And we'll be back in just a moment.
Tuesday segment for Wednesday air. This is segment 1, Industrial Arts.
This morning we're going to visit one of the most popular departments of the youth fair, the Industrial Arts, and I would like for you to meet Mr. John Hamp, who's the superintendent of Industrial Arts here at the Dade County Youth Fair and supervisor of Industrial Arts of Dade County School System. Morning, John.
Good morning, Chuck.
What's happening here?
Well, what we have here is a simulation of mass production, and we are actually manufacturing a trivet. What I'd like to do is to show you through this particular process.
All right, how does it begin?
Now, we start over here where we have a shearing process going on. The individual is taking the large pieces of metal and shearing it into smaller pieces. And the next particular item, we have the first scroll that is being bent into this particular piece of metal. It is passed on to the second individual that we have, who is putting the second bend into it. Then all of these pieces are pre-assembled into a small ring. It is then passed on to a individual who is doing the brazing. He will braze these together so they'll actually stay together.
Weld them, in other words.
It's a type of welding process.
Very good.
And then we go on to the actual putting a feet onto it so that it doesn't stay onto the counter. It gives a little lift off. We have a painting process in which we are using a lacquer paint. It dries very quickly. It'll dry in about 2 or 3 minutes. We go on to the packaging of these particular items, and then we get into the final distribution of it. And what I'd like to do, Chuck, is to present you with a sample of our mass-produced item here.
Thank you very much. And I noticed that you not only make trivets, but you make fruit baskets, candle holders, all kinds of centerpieces, and really, this is very, very impressive. These young men are all from
Coral Park Senior High School.
And a good example of that things are really happening in our school system.
Right. We do try to relate to industry and what the actual world is all about.
Very good. Now, this is only one part of what you're going to see here this morning, so we'll be right back after this brief time out. Thank you, John.
Okay, Chuck.
Tuesday segment for Wednesday air. This is part 2.
Continuing in the Industrial Arts Department and going from the manufacturing of trivets to an equally exciting sport, I guess you would say, drag racing, right, John Hamp?
Well, this is, you might say it's drag racing, but more than that, it's a problem in which the students are given certain specifications in which they have to actually design a car. And we have some of the specifications would be the size of the wheels, the location of the axle, this location of the firing mechanism in the back, where in this particular case we're using a CO2 cartridge, must be inserted so that we can fire these particular cars. And the drag racing is just something to add a little to the excitement.
Well, it's
of
the
car.
icing on the cake, in other words.
Right.
But they have come up with some fantastically unique designs. How many young people entered this particular division?
Well, they're limited to only one entry per student, and we have close to 300 different entries from all over the Dade County schools.
From what age level, John?
This is strictly a junior high school product.
Right.
So these would be 7th, 8th, and 9th graders.
Now, they attain some pretty good speeds, and by the way, this is one of the outstanding features here in the Industrial Arts Department, and that is the track that has been set up so that you can see not only the cars on display, but see some of them racing throughout the afternoon and evening.
Well, we hope so. We hope to have these races every hour, approximately 4 or 5 races per hour, if
Now,
we can manage it.
One of your assistants is standing back there, and we're going to have a race right now.
Right. We've got Julio Forte from Citrus Grove Junior High School, among some of his students that are holding a race.
All right, we don't have the Christmas tree that you usually find at a drag race, so instead we have a lot of young people here. Let's have a countdown and see a race. You ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1, Well, we had one great design there, but one didn't quite make it.
Well, it's like every race. Sometimes you get a foul out.
That's true.
And maybe a bad start or something of that nature. We never know.
I think you can understand why we're excited about the 1974 Dade County Youth Fair, and this is what it's all about. Thank you, John. You've been an excellent host.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow here at the Dade County Youth Fair. Today we've moved from the inside to the outside here at the 1974 Dade County Youth Fair, where there are 5 huge striped tents containing poultry, livestock, rabbits, anything you can imagine. I would like for you to meet a young man by the name of John Anderson, who is the student superintendent of the poultry division. John, how many different birds do we have out here?
Well, we have standard birds, which are your show birds, and we have utility birds, which lay eggs and are for meat, and we have bantams, and we have ducks and wildfowl. You name it, we got it.
In a total number, how many?
We have 913 birds.
That's a lot of birds.
Sure is.
Speaking of birds, that's a beautiful bird.
This here is a rowan duck, and this is a drake. He's a male, and he's quite large, I think.
He's a big one. And here we have a fellow that wakes us up in the mornings.
Yes, this is a light-crested black Polish rooster.
From Poland.
No, I don't think so.
I'm not going to touch that with a 14-foot Hungarian. What do we have here?
This here is a Rhode Island red hen, and that's a sex-link hen, and they both lay eggs for consumption.
Now, what would you say is the most unusual poultry you have out here?
Well, the wildfowl, the most
Mm-hmm.
exotic. We have like golden pheasants, Lady Amherst pheasants. We have they're very beautiful, and hope everybody comes out to see them.
Thank you, John. Nice having you on
Thank
this
you very
morning.
much, John.
Okay. Now, moving from poultry to rabbits, and I would like for you to meet Mr. Frank White, Jr., who is the owner, and LaVon Thurman, assistant superintendent of the rabbits. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. It's good to see you, Jack.
How many different types of rabbits do you have here, Frank?
We've got 166 rabbits with about 40 different types. We've got 41 different types of guinea pigs in the 41 guinea pigs in the fair.
And what are you holding?
This is an Angora rabbit.
And that is a beauty, too.
It's named Thumper.
A most unusual rabbit in the cage here. What kind is it?
This is a satin Siamese. Right, Frank? This is his rabbit.
Right. It's a Siamese satin rabbit. The Siamese comes from white satin. There are 4 or 5 different kinds of satin. There's white satin, red satin. This happens to be a Siamese because it looks like a Siamese cat.
It does. Is it a very rare breed?
Relatively so. There are quite a few in the country today from most of the breeders that we around the country.
So come on out to the rabbit tent, and you'll certainly enjoy yourself with the rabbits and the guinea pigs, and this little fellow looks like he hasn't even quite woke up yet.
That's an Abyssinian guinea pig, and it's a male, and he is pretty much awake.
Yes. Thank you very much. We'll be back in a moment with more here at the outside tents.